My right shoulder feels great throwing that ball. Hello, and welcome back to the Fox Strength Performance YouTube channel. So I've been really thinking about different things that I can do to benefit my shoulder as I'm trying to improve my overhead press and really get ready for this axle overhead press 4 reps in this upcoming comp. And then just becoming like more athletic in general as well. I've taken a wide stance for a while with my overhead press, and I felt like that was more for balance than anything. But I just feel like I look like a fat, like unathletic dude that isn't really that strong. Yeah, I know it's really bad. I do pride myself on being able to improve technique and become more athletic and explosive and mobile. So that's what I just have been working on, and doing some of like the thruster presses, I've really found some tweaks that I think have helped a lot. I went back and watched the video that Mitchell Hooper did on the Olympic lifting techniques he's been using in drills and how he's really fine-tuned everything to work on his split jerk for the axle press. I don't plan on really going for a split jerk technique, but I just feel like this is really going to help like improve my mobility, improve my ability to like get under the bar, get it up to my shoulders, and then push press it and be explosive and able to get that weight over my head. So I'm going to go through a drill or two like before and after, kind of get into the stuff that he presented in his video. But overall, I think it's going to be a really good like prep for this session. And I'm just going to do that to prep for some different pressing variations I'm going to do today, and just really like kind of a secondary day for me to work on some volume stuff. So this first one is pretty much like the lat stretch that I do on a normal basis. I had kind of like came up with this while I was working off of the jerk blocks and grabbed like the one side and just kind of did that lat stretch and did like a thread the needle type of drill. So I'm not actively stretching the whole time. The band will kind of be slack, and then I pull into the stretch and come underneath. So it's not so much a static stretch, which I don't do a ton of before training, but it's really more active drill. And I'll do like 5 to 8 on one side and then switch. And if you can hear anything in the background, it's just my dog being annoying, because this is his ball and this is him, and this is all he cares about is getting his ball and won't leave me alone to film my YouTube video. So this wasn't one that Mitchell showed in the video, but this is one I really believe in, putting the band around the ankle. And I believe that you can really mob straight through the ankle or like more up on the tib fib joint. So I'm going to do the latter one, kind of right above the ankle, some good band distraction, and then I'm just doing a forward knee bend. And the aim here is really to mobilize those ankles, because you're going to want that ankle mobility to dip and drive and not beat up your knees so much. And we'll really get into like preserving the knees with the ankle mobility and just other drills in the hips, because you can really beat your knees up with the push pressing, that eccentric loading, and then just the positioning. I think it's a big factor if you really want to last on strongman. It's like figure out some things that you can use to prolong that health in your knees and your lower extremity, because once it starts to go, it goes really quick. From what I've seen with some older competitors and just guys that have had like a high disposition to wearing their joints out. So they kind of recommended between like a 15 kilo to a 25 kilo plate for these. I actually put a bed together today, so I feel like my ankles should be pretty good, especially with doing the band drill. So I'm just gonna go with a 45 because I don't have any kilos in here. So plate up on the leg, and then we're just using that force from the plate to drive the ankle into dorsiflexion and then come all the way back. Try to get my positioning a little bit better here. But right there, I can really feel it. And importance here, like with a lot of like mobility work, trying to get that full range of motion, So I'm trying to get as far into dorsiflexion as I can, really just about my limit where the heel starts to come off the ground, but then come back into plantar flexion. A lot of people like disregard that second part, but you do need to plantar flex in these kind of movements. Like you want to get that triple extension and be able to pop off the floor and be explosive in these positions. So you got to practice the mobility there first in kind of a slower, static, like actively moving state. And then once you get to being more explosive with it, you're in like a good functional state because your body's used to that range of motion. All right, we're gonna move on to the adductor one. So I thought this was interesting, like the way they like talk about putting the medial knee down on the pad and then getting like your medial foot down, because you're kind of like looking at that internal rotation of the hip through these ranges of motion, and then the other leg, the foot should be facing directly out. And like just with my body weight, like that feels pretty gnarly. And we'll add the plate in. Oh. Yeah, I think that's a nice little tweak for this one, that knee position and the hip position when you're kneeling on the pad. I can really feel that way more than I ever have with like some different other adductor and just hip moves that I've done. And I'm not having any active issues, I would say, in my lower body, but I have felt like some tightness in my hips. And sometimes I don't really notice it, and then I sit down for a while, or I'm in a certain position, and then I get up and I really feel it. So it's important to be preemptive, like work on this kind of stuff, because you want to get ahead of things. You don't want to fall behind, and then it's like, okay, like my shoulder's been hurting for a little bit. Know that. But then I'm like so focused on that, then the hips start to flare up, or the knees. I generally get like ladder epicondylitis on this elbow because this is the elbow I had surgery on. So just starting to stay ahead of things, like work on the full body each week, do various modalities that you have pre-planned and put them into your program and really try to like push things. Whew. Hello there. So these are the ones I'm most excited for, and I might look relaxed right now, but I think this is going to be pretty brutal. So got the Rogue Med Ball set up as a fulcrum point, kind of looking at, like, at least from what they presented, like putting it around the thoracolumbar junction. So really that junction between your mid and lower back. And you're going to take a plate. I'm starting off pretty light. They did a 10 kilo, so I'll do a 25 here. And that's going to be overhead. And then I'm just coming back. And this is definitely pulling me out of my comfort zone as far as like things that I want to be doing, but I can definitely feel how this is beneficial. as I do that more, I can really feel like my shoulder not hurting as much with the overhead position, which is really what I'm looking for. So I feel like that was a good one and really sets you up well for these next couple that we're going to go through. Oh, so here we are on the floor once again. Kind of starting to regret this. I think this is going to be a really good one. So bar W's, I'm going to take the grip I would for overhead press, trying to lock my rib cage down, good breathing, and then I'm pulling the bar down behind my neck, lifting the head up, and then extend the lockout. And I feel like this is really good because like this position, tucking my elbows at the bottom, is really where I've been feeling like that tension in my shoulder. Oh. So initially I was like, well, how about we start with some weight on the bar? And then I was like, no, that's a terrible idea. So I'm going to go with an empty bar here for this last one. And this is going to be an anchor squat. So narrow grip. Coming down into like that kind of behind the neck tricep extension. And that's brutal. And the idea here is like the bar hangs behind and you're trying to keep those elbows kind of in a good position there in the front. And they even said in the video, they were like, you might only be able to do a half squat with just minimal amount of weight. And that's definitely where I am at right now. But this feels good. And this is definitely like a stretch I've been trying to work on as well with a band. So that's always something I had trouble wrapping my mind and like kind of my body and how I move around that concept of like the elbows can be up here and you can get all the way down into a squat. Like I used to be able to kind of do it with a front squat, but it would be less and less fingers on the bar until finally I was dumping it so much that I was like, this doesn't make any sense. And basically my continental clean, my power clean, it's all I catch like up here, completely upright torso, barely any bend in the legs. So I think this will be big for like opening that up a little bit and make it a lot easier on myself to get those cleans. I'm going to do one more exercise that they didn't show in that video. I'm a big believer in the shoulder rock, so I'm going to run through that. I feel like that's always helped my shoulder in the past to prep myself and get my shoulders healthy and feeling good, especially for like heavier competitions. Dawkins is out here with his ball. Now he's all excited. Hey, buddy. Yeah, I mean, I hate warming up too and doing mobility, so that makes sense. So I got this back when I was in grad school, or like just after. I was like, this is time for me to purchase some things. Like I graduated, I was getting a job or close to getting a job. And I think this has just been a consistent implement in my training for a really long time. So you go one hand on top. You usually like to choke up a little bit. So think about like a baseball bat and not having your hands all the way at the bottom. And then we're just going to swing out to the side. And it's basically going to pull the shoulders into that same position we did for the anchor squat. Activate the lats to pull down the other way around. And that feels a lot better than it did the last time I did it. Let's see how it feels with the left hand on top. Dude, okay. My right shoulder feels great throwing that ball. But anyway, this is like pretty minimal weight, like 15 pounds loaded onto the implement. I like to get up to like 25 for like sets of 10 on warm-ups. I know you can go heavier, like guys will do crazy stuff with this. I feel like there's diminishing returns with that. It's definitely something I'm doing more consistently now. So I hope running through this stuff helps you guys. I can say with 100% I have never done anything like an anchor squat, and it's a very uncomfortable movement for me. But I feel like that helped a ton. Like I can really feel the difference. And then going out to do the shoulder rock after. I've done stuff similar to the bar W's, doing like scap wall slides, but I think that's a little bit more of an active and a better drill, specifically for the overhead press. And then just like working the different things in. And it doesn't have to be these drills specifically. Putting your own spin on it and making sure it's something you can do consistently. So if it's that, thread the needle, if it's doing walking lunges with Spider-Man reaches, stuff like that. Just open up the thoracic spine, work on your lower body mobility, work on your shoulder mobility so that you can keep getting stronger and pressing some heavy weight. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Keep lifting those heavy weights. Until next time, hold strong.